Hi there guys, today I'm doing a video on my new dc05. Sorry, the light's shining off of it, it's quite sunny. So, this dc05 has quite a story to it. Well, it's quite a long story about these non-original tubes, about that non-original insert. So I did put a picture on Google Plus of this, but it didn't have the cyclone because I was washing that. It's all dry now. And basically I had this dc05 maybe a year and a half ago, and it was working perfect. And I sold it to my uncle who wanted just a vac to do his car. I mean, he's crazy about his car. Seriously, it's got to be spotless. It's a Honda Civic Type R. And he's such a faff about this tiny wee two-door Honda. Seriously, he likes to keep it so clean. I suppose when you get something new, you like keep it nice and clean. But it's quite old now. He's been through a lot of cars actually. Vauxhall Astra, Hondas galore, even Peugeots. Well, so this, I sold it to him, and he bought tube head and also a hose. Now the hose, when he got it, there was things falling out of it, and I've actually just been unclogging it. In the bend clogged up with dog hair and like fluff, and it was like a piece of dog hair and fluff running through here. It was like shaped to the inside of the tube. It was unbelievable. Well, you can't see the clog because I've got rid of it. I sucked it out with a Henry. It went right into the bag. So stuff that clogs the Dyson does not bother a Henry. But shortly after, my auntie binned the insert. Must have fell out when they were emptying it. And of course, the dirt went up the cyclone and onto the filter, which I actually put a brand new filter in for him. And that's also another story. And it was clogging that up, and he was complaining it was getting very hot. But by this point, the novelty had sort of worn off, and it was shoved in the back of the shed and pulled out to do the car. And of course these tubes and head, they're really not useful in the car. But the small attachments are, and I gave him crevice tool, dust and brush and upholstery tool. He said he had all the tools when I was getting it back, but no, he's lost the upholstery tool. I'll tell him if he sees it to give me it, because I'd like it back. Where was I? Yeah, I put a new filter in it that I got with a dc14. I bought a dc14 once, 21 quid, and it was burning out. And I had a spare filter, brand new, and the thing is, it wasn't actually like, you know, a generic one like this one is. This one's a generic one. No, it was actually a genuine one. And actually, if I just go through to my kitchen, although this is my kitchen, it's quite nice, isn't it? Go here, it's up here drying. You can see it's a genuine one. And actually, it should be nearly dry now. Anyway. So, yeah. Maybe if they put that new filter in, the Hoover wouldn't have burnt out so quickly. But anyway, let's actually go on to this dc05. The reason I got this back, and I actually got it back for free, I sold it to him for 20 quid. I got it back for free because he just bought a cartridge. See, it's a lovely sunny day where I live in Scotland. It's usually never nice. So for the purposes of this video, I don't want the sun shining on it. So for now, I'm going to take the hose off. Just put the camera down a minute. That off. There we go. Now it does have a bumper, but I took that off and I couldn't get it back on. So this was all cleaner, but I started playing with the Henry. I put a Henry tube in the top and started sucking things up with the end of the Dyson, because of course the tube was fitted in there. And actually it did spin the stuff around, but it didn't seem to keep the fine dust in here. Sorry, that was a bit out of focus. But there is some fluff in there, I think. This works perfectly now that I've sorted it. Because it was pulling stuff through, Here was clogged with fluff in here. It was absolutely disgusting. And in there, it has kept relatively clean. This does have some fine dust on it. That doesn't seem to appear on there. It hasn't pulled very much through. It pulled a couple of little pieces. I mean, they were like tiny little bits, like, where's the camera? Little bits like that size. So it really hasn't damaged it. So this foam filter came with this, of course, that you can perfectly see light through. You can just see my fingers there. It came with the DC15. It had a new filter in it, but it was relatively new when I got it. It's all stained now. But yeah, I like the dc05, and I'm glad I've got one again, because this is actually the same model as the one I found out to skip that wasn't working. But I want another colour scheme of dc05 now, because this has been the one I've always had. Well, I have had a yellow and grey one too. I had two actually. One wasn't working and one did work, but it smelled of cigarettes. Awful, and sort of dogs and cigarettes. It was a chaotic household. In fact, what was quite weird is they had obviously replaced the filter, because it was, do you know the exhaust pad filter you get on the DC04s? That was its pre-filter, and the post-filter was a H-layer filter. So I know they hadn't swapped, because I thought maybe the pre-filter was in there, and the post-filter was there. So, yeah, but that was wrong. And what was wrong with the other one I had was it wasn't working. Put a new fuse in it, it wasn't working. I think the motor died in it. And the bracket there was gone. Now, I knew hardly anything about DC05s at this time. In fact, I thought, you see the green clip that clipped in there? Because when you take this bracket off, there's like a little square hole there. But it didn't. Of course, I was a nut job back then and knew nothing. It was actually 2 years ago. I had a DC04 in this colour scheme too. And that's on my channel actually. I sold that ages ago. I really liked that one. That was the only DC04 I had that had worked properly. And you know what I find in old Dysons is if you pull the sole plate apart, put it back on, they're never as effective. They don't seem to stick to the floor as much and like pull as much up. That happened to me with a DC04 Silver and Line. The belt had fell off the brush roll, so effectively it wasn't brushing, and then I put it back on it. It almost like it picked up a couple of lumps and then stopped picking up. Because it picked up what was on the surface, but it never dug deep. I was puzzled. Of course, that happened to many other bagless uprights I have, but it never happens to bagged ones. So yeah. So the hose, I believe it's original. It had no tools, so I put this on, which is off a DC03, and this is off a DC04. In fact, once I was at the tip, and there was a vac actually outside the skip, so it wasn't in the skip, so I didn't have to try and fetch it out. So I just took that, and I looked in the skip, and there was this smashed up DC04, same colour scheme as well, but the crevice tool was okay on it, so I just snapped that up. I think they had a dusting brush, but it was like split in two. But like I tried to pull it off and it was like two parts. So it was like that part and that part. Now this one's got an extra bit on the neck. I don't know why. It's got a longer neck. And these tubes and head is what my uncle bought. And then the spare hose is also the same colour scheme as that, the other Absolute Plus style. And I've got a spare hose as well, so that's two spare hoses. That's the right colour scheme as well. So, it's got the on-off switch. Works well. And this cord, which I'm going to pull some out because I will switch it on for you. If I just put my tablet on the sofa, I can get it all plugged in. That's us plugged in and we are ready to go. So, let's plug this in. The brushes are down. And so I'm doing that one at a time because that has discoloured, if you can see, if I get it in darkness, it's a bit yellowy. As well as the head, which is also a bit yellowy too. Right, that's it. Right, let's just give it a very quick switch on. I don't want to use it too much. Hope this cleaner lasts at least a few months before it'll kick the bucket. What I forgot to say before I go is that the upholstery tool, did I say it was lost? Maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did say that actually, sorry. It's got very good suction. I think it sucks a lot better than what it probably did when my uncle had it, but it had a blocked up filter. And actually, oh, that's what I was going to say. The filter, my uncle done a little cheat to clean it. He actually, instead of washing it, you know how you get the sponge part? I'm just trying to de-expand this tube. You know you get the foam part. Sorry, I think I said wash part. Well, the foam part, he literally switched it around. So it was fluff, caked on fluff on one side, caked on fluff on the other, and of course, it's only going to lead to the vacuum boiling. He said on one of the wheels you could literally fry an egg. Well, I don't think you could properly fry an egg without it being still raw. But I get what he means. This cord reel is absolute rubbish. As my uncle said, and I agree with him when I had this, it works well sometimes, but it works awful other times. Come on, go on. It says sometimes you're literally feeding it through. Well, thanks for watching, and bye.